Ken?
Yes, driving home here, my 1929 Bentley. Just enjoying myself. Maybe I'll switch it over to the Austin Princess Rolls Royce later.
Thank you, Ken. You haven't lost it. You're a laugh a minute. And out of the news with Ken Sparks.
A bit of insanity. I haven't heard that for ages.
I haven't heard that for years, Ken. Did you ever do drive on the greater 3AW's?
Oh, yes. No, I didn't do drive. No. I did night times, and I did mornings, and I did breakfast, and I did afternoons and the weekends, but no, I never made it to drive. There must have been something about it. I think the late Alan Lappin stopped me from doing that.
Yes, he did. Lap on UZ.
And he did it so well, too. And another one of the UZ people that has now gone to the great rock and roll radio heaven in the sky.
Yeah, as has Don Lunn, of course.
Well, let's not do a roll call. Because Ken could be next.
Exactly. I check the papers every day, Bruce and Phil, just in case to see if my name's there.
Oh, Ken, there was no one better than Ken Sparks with that dragon in the dungeon.
Oh, yes. Well, we had Yum Yum the Man-Eating Plant, and we had the Ogre and all the rest of them, and they were all down there ready to continue on some of the great insanity that we perpetrated on the brains and ears of the people of Melbourne through a great era in radio. Just loved it.
It was a great era, and there was no station like it across the board.
No, it was interesting too, Bruce and Phil, is that the nighttime radio rating for the show was double the second station's breakfast show, which was 3DB at the time.
What a record that is.
That was quite a record, and it's I can't lie about the figures. We can sometimes, embellish them a little, but no, that was a fact, and that's up there on the board there somewhere on the scoreboard.
But you had so much going for you with those jingles by the Anita Kerr singers, for example, and John Vertigan doing sport.
Ah, yeah, and John is still around, thank goodness. And we had the Johnny Man Singers, and then another lot that I cut in Pam's in Dallas. They were a great jingle house.
Yes, they
were. A lot of fun doing those. But we changed a few things with some ideas, but the late and great Lewis Bennett, he was the one that was the person, he steered the ship.
I'm surprised you did, because, in real life he seemed very sort of staid and a rather serious sort of individual.
Yes, but he was a great trend maker. Goodness me, there was a successful GM in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yes, and also at the same time, he was one of the cleverest. He used to have his beautiful bow tie and his immaculate outfit, his 18-karat gold pen to sign a new contract.
That's right.
Which we would sign a new contract, and then he would tick it. And immaculate guy that, I tell you what, I bet he was as sly as a damn fox.
They all were. John McMahon, the whole lot. Now, Ken, your world in car racing has been many and varied. You've actually done the professional work, haven't you?
Yes, and I'm still doing. I do a national Grand Prix report on radio. I think it's the only full-on national Grand Prix radio report on a weekly basis. Looking forward to the Grand Prix again in Melbourne on March 15th through to 18. And I think it's not only the cars that attract me and the speed and also, the excitement, but also some of the glamour. People like the international model Kate Peck. She's going to be down as the ambassador for the 2012 F1 in Melbourne. And they're the ones I like to get close to and have a photograph with. So some of my friends can say, gee, I wish I'd gone down there. You used to have a real good time,
Yes.
That's about it. No, it's one of those things. Once you're injected with this petrol, unfortunately, whether it be leaded, unleaded, or high octane or low octane, it doesn't seem to go out of your blood. It's a bit like radio.
Yes, it's very much like radio.
It's as dangerous as radio.
It is dangerous.
What was your very first car that you got behind the wheel?
Your family's car, Dad's car.
No. Dad was in the army, and he never ever had a car, really. He had one assigned to him. So my first real car, I'd say, was a Hillman Minx that I had hotted up when I was at wonderful 2MG Mudgee. And I'd made a few dollars running a record shop, and didn't get too much out of radio, but I got more out of the record shop. So I went out and bought a Hillman Minx, and promptly got in it, went down to Sydney. It's about 173 miles outside of Sydney, had it hotted up, and then I thought I was the greatest ace on the road. I just felt so good with that looky muffler sound, and some of your older listeners will remember the looky mufflers.
Yes.
They had a rotten column shift, though, didn't they, the gears?
Oh, yeah, it was not a good one, Phil. It was not. Eventually, we got rid of that, and then I started on my sports cars, and I think at one time, this is not a boast, this is a matter of stupidity, I had about 14 cars, and they were like Aston Martins, Porsches, Ferraris, Lotus, you name it. It was like a European used car lot for a while, but the cost, and after a while you've got to realise that motor racing is like standing under a shower ripping up $1,000 bills. It's just a very expensive sport.
Yes.
And you don't get the money in it unless you're right at the front. You know, you've got to be one of the guys like Schumacher or Webber or Vettel or some of these big F1 drivers and some of the major NASCAR drivers and even the V8 supercar drivers where they get a heck of a lot of money. But in my time, you were lucky you might get about £10 if you won the race and a lovely big trophy, and you just think, I wish they would have given me the money that they paid for the trophy.
Yeah, so
it had to be more than 10 quid.
And so you've been there on the podium shaking that big magnum of champagne, have you?
Oh, yes, I've done that a couple of times, but I always thought that was a waste. Really, why don't they just use soda water and give them a nice little bottle of, give them the Moet Chandon or whatever brand that they're spraying around, give that to the team and then just here, a fake bottle of Moet Chandon full of soda water. That's why you don't stink as much either.
No, that's right.
Now, Ken Sparks, sadly there won't be a celebrity race this year at the Grand Prix.
No, I was banned from the celebrity races. I've loved that ban because they said that I had too much experience.
Oh, and, that's a compliment.
Well, it was a compliment, but it's a bit backhanded.
Yeah, of course, a backhanded compliment, you're right.
Yeah, you know, a whack in the face, you know, they get out one of those wet driving gloves and say, no, Sparksy, you can't come in. Whack!
Yeah. And, at least give you a trophy for doing it, or at least give you a trophy.
Well, I was up on the podium many times, looking after the podium at the Grand Prix, and I was assisting in the handing out of the trophies to the guys in the celebrity race, and I used to think that some of your radio compatriots have actually tried to drive, but they really have been embarrassing. I won't mention any names.
No, I know you're talking.
You know, sort of vertically opposed, and thinks that he could drive well, but he couldn't drive a tack and a ball serve. He was mechanically assisted.
Oh, how good is that? Okay,
I'd love to find out who it is.
That was a full fist, wasn't it? That was a backhand.
That's not sounding like you, Ken. Kind of a nasty, vitriolic streak.
Hey, are you driving a hybrid these days?
No, they haven't got me into that. I'm driving, if you don't mind me mentioning the brand, it's one of the best cars I've ever driven. I drive a Subaru RS Turbo, but the only difference between it and a race car is that there are no numbers on the side of it, and friends of mine say to me, particularly my Chinese friends, why do you drive young boy's car with lots of noise? Why not you drive Mercedes? And I say, well, I've driven the Mercedes and I've had all those. I like the young boys' cars, and I like to be pulled up by the police every now and then. And when I get out of the car, they go, so you're not a 19-year-old kid. So I say, gentlemen, and the problem is. And we don't have a problem because, you know, I try not to break the rules on the road, but I still like a performance car, and I still like a stick shift, as we used to say.
Yes.
So I'm another thing I did learn, I don't know if this is of any use to people, but a doctor did tell me one time that driving a manual car makes you, as you get older, you know, more of a veteran, still use the left-hand side of your brain and the right-hand side of your brain while you're driving, you know, changing, clutching, declutching, etc., etc., etc.
But you have to physically do it.
It could be a giant medical step forward in motoring, couldn't it?
It could well be, Ken Sparks.
I wrote something when I was writer for TV Week, which some people may not remember. I wrote an article called "What Every Driver Should Know." I've still been trying to find that article so I could try and remember what I wrote. But that was also inspired by the great Sir Jack Brabham, who taught me a lot about driving cars and also driving sensibly on the road and racing with a little bit more sense instead of when you put down your visor, the blood rushes to your head and you just can't wait to get out there, and that's when you can have a very, very bad accident.
That's when the left-hand side of the brain is working in the gears.
Exactly.
Ken Sparks, always a delight to have you on the radio program, and thank you for being our guest tonight.
Thank you very much, and I just love that music. What was the name of that music, by the way?
It was called
Driving Home.
The Driving Home.
Driving Home.
Let's go out with that, please.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, Kenny.
Year of the Dragon. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.